What's good, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. How you guys doing? How you guys doing? Top six centers of the 1960s, man, the NBA. We got Wilt, we have Bill Russell, but who else do we have, man? Who else do we have in the NBA that we should be knowing about? So, shout out to Wilt Chamberlain's archive for the video. So, if you guys are new to the channel, do not forget to hit the like and sub button. Highly appreciate it. Highly grateful, like always. And let's get started. Let's go and check this out.
In this video, I'll be giving my top 6 NBA centers of the 1960s decade based on their...
Also, if I do have something to say, I'm gonna likely just try to mute it. But if it's not him talking, if it's him talking and I got something to say, I'm gonna just mute it. But if it's not really him talking, then I may just speak over it.
Combination of abilities, accomplishments, and number of seasons they played the center position throughout that decade. Before I begin, I'd also briefly like to point out an error I've seen many fans make about what they think NBA basketball was like in the 1960s. And as a result of sharing this error, they turn others off to the history of the game. It is primarily their inability to recognize who they are seeing on film, when it happened, and why the game was once played that way. On social media, I've actually seen widespread use of these clips of student athletes in the 1940s and other pre-shot clock era clips like them used to discredit Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell's success.
This is already ugly. This is just already ugly. Why are they doing half-court shots? I mean, hook shots from like the mid-range free throw line.
In the NBA,
why are we shooting mid-range shots? Why are we shooting?
When famous NBA...
Why are we shooting? Why are we shooting that type of shot at the freaking mid-range? Just shoot it. Don't do no hook shot.
Journalists such as Bill Simmons have also written comments in response to seeing clips of Wilt Chamberlain score 73 points, such as this. Quote, "Every big Knick looked like a prehistoric version of Brian Scalabrine," unquote. He also goes on to mention if you put Dwight Howard in Wilt's shoes, he'd do the same thing. I'm sure Paul Hogue would be flattered with the physical comparison to Brian Scalabrine.
That's why I don't like the comparing players in different, eras and all of that. Because the game is so different, you know what I mean? I do agree with that. It is hard to compare players from different eras because the game of basketball was just completely different.
Scalabrine. This is actual footage from that aforementioned 73-point game. And I'm sure Dwight Howard is equally flattered to know he's been gifted 4 inches of height and the ability to hit fall-away jump shots.
It's not even in my top 10. Let me tell you something, Brian Scalabrine would have done what Bill Russell did in his heyday. Colin, you could have played professional basketball right now in that era.
That's Wilt Chamberlain.
This cognitive dissonance is so widespread, many fans actually seem to have a hard time differentiating black and white footage from the 1940s with clips of recognizable players like Kareem at UCLA.
But I mean, was the net still 10 feet? I'm surprised I didn't see peach baskets out here though. Oh, rebound! Oh, he dunked it! He dunked it!
Troy Dance.
Was that the first dunk ever?
In my opinion, it's important to learn exactly who we are looking at, when we are looking at them, and at what stage of competition. So without further delay, here is my top 6 best NBA centers of the 1960s decade. Number 6, Willis Reed. Willis Reed measured half...
Shout out to my Knicks. 6-game winning streak, playing tonight. Willis Reed, man. Big ups to him. 2-time NBA champ.
An inch taller than Cleveland Cavaliers starting center,
my guy.
And typically played at a weight of 240 to 250 pounds, despite playing in an era that predates lifting weights. He could throw this powerful frame around with alarming ferocity, quickness, balance, and speed, and finished strong over players much taller than himself. Willis could shoot too, and had great timing with his fakes and a variety of finesse finishes for scoring around the much larger 7-footers.
He's killing Kareem, okay.
One of the most physical, aggressive players that I ever played against. Willis was tough, played hard, 6'10", and played every inch of it. Very, very tough player, good team player.
Why does he sound like Tom Thibodeau?
And defensively. The thing that Willis...
Why does everybody speaking sound like Tom Thibodeau?
Willis loved to do is when you get him on the free throw line beside him, you'd go for the rebound or whatever after a free throw, and he'd take his elbow and he'd shove it right into your neck and drag you to the floor. And the referees would let him get away. But one time they didn't. It was at the end of the game when I was with Philadelphia, and I was beside Willis on the line, and the referee was off to my left. It was Mindy Rudolph. I said, Mindy.
Okay, a little mid-range game to him. Hook shot.
Willis Reed. Havlicek, Willis Reed, guarded by Baylor.
Look at that footwork.
Pretty dramatic here in the next minute. Ball, Frazier saves it, under to his teammate Reed. Hayes defensively.
And it was Willis now throwing off bodies off his shoulders, and he just kind of went along the whole team and just decimated his team. Rudy Russo had a broken jaw, and Henry Finkel had a broken jaw.
I know a couple of guys got punched, and it wasn't even involved in a fight. Yeah, I kind of remember that.
Number 5, Zelmo Beatty.
Willis Reed was going crazy like that?
Zelmo Beatty measured half an inch taller than
Zelmo
Cleveland
Beatty.
Cavaliers starting center
Never heard of
Tristan
him.
Thompson, and
Never
worked
heard of
hard
him.
to maintain a lean
Casual.
playing weight of 235 pounds. Beatty was fluid in the post when the matchups allowed for it, but he often had to make up for his lack of height by taking advantage of his solid mid-range shooting touch. Beatty was also one of the fastest centers in the NBA and often raced out for easy baskets in transition.
He certainly was at
Cherry
a disadvantage when he played against
JK.
Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell, Thurman from San Francisco, and Walt Bellamy, the 7-footers at that time that played inside. And when we played teams like that,
His
he was
shot
more
doesn't
high
even
post
look that
center,
bad,
and he
too.
basically was a
He has-
15-foot jump
his
shooter.
mid-range
It
looks
was to
nice.
our advantage that he was that type of player so that he could take them out from onto the basket.
Defensively, he had a reputation as an enforcer and often led the league in fouls and ejections, which
Golly.
only bolstered this reputation.
Man was going crazy.
Blocked by Zelmo
He went
Beatty
all the
cleanly
smoke.
as he picked the
He
ball
went
right
all
off
the
the net
smoke.
off his hand.
Number 4, Nate Thurman.
How can I forget Nate Thurman, Warrior Great? I forgot about Nate Thurman. I forgot about Nate Thurman. I'm tripping. Oh, I'm
Nate
tripping.
Thurman measured the same height as Nerlens Noel, and although I was unable to find actual figures for Nate Thurman's reach, it was claimed to be even greater than Wilt Chamberlain's 7-foot 8-inch reach. If this is true, this would mean Thurman was potentially even longer than Rudy Gobert, the longest center in 2017. Thurman was a defensive monster. Both Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Wilt Chamberlain claim he did as good a job as anyone at
Good pass.
disrupting their game. His
Golly.
all-around ability during his prime was considered by coaches around the league to be a blend of what both Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell brought to the floor.
Nate Thurman is a center that is starting to rival both Chamberlain and Russell as far as his ability offensively and defensively. And we have found that you don't win big in the NBA unless you have a really great center.
Auerbach uses Chamberlain and Russell together. Thurman still beats them.
Number 3, Walt Bellamy.
He's played for the Hawks, I think. Walt Bellamy, he's played
Walt
for the Hawks, if
Bellamy
I'm
measured
correct.
both the same
Oh, he
height
played for
and
the Hawks.
approximate weight as DeAndre Jordan and had an incredible offensive repertoire, particularly his ability to drive despite carrying as much as 270 pounds. Bellamy ran the floor well and could also shoot jumpers in isolation, spot up, post up, or pick and roll
He had
situations,
some game, huh?
in addition to a strong finishing ability at the rim. Take note of the size and physical ability of Walt Bellamy, as this is the kind of player Wilt Chamberlain was capable of scoring 73 points.
Jesus.
Walt Bellamy was an all-state football receiver in high school before becoming a great basketball player.
Well, I don't know if he's underrated in the NBA people's eyes. He certainly is one of the great centers for the last few years.
And don't forget, there's only like 8 to 10 teams back then. So a lot of these guys were playing each other constantly. Like a lot of these players were going against each other a lot.
Sure, when you compare him to Russell or Chamberlain or Thurman possibly, he might be behind them, but offensively he's certainly ahead of them, you know, as far as our game is concerned.
Ball handler. All around Bellamy. Great pass by Hudson.
Bridges inside for Bellamy.
Bellamy. Bellamy scores. They're dominating the board.
And finally, both number 1 and 2 has to be a tie between Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain.
Feel like Wilt overrated, underrated, or properly rated?
It would be hard to find. You talk about players and the era I played. It would be hard to find 2 better centers than Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah.
I mean, they were incredible players.
Russell is obviously the winningest player here, though he is more dominant than most people credit him as being.
Okay, a
Bill
little
Russell
mid-range.
is also about the same height as DeAndre Jordan. Russell is also known to have had a 7-foot.
Hold up. I thought Bill Russell was like 6'9". I don't know about 6'11". I could be wrong though. But from everything I was seeing, yeah, some Madden 2K in there. but I'm not going off 2K because no. But from like Basketball Reference and like articles and books, stuff like that, I've always known for him to be 6'9".
4 arm span. I've heard many people assume he was the size of a small forward based on his misleading roster listing of 6'9", but he actually was closer to 6'10" barefoot, which would easily put him at the 6'11" mark in today's NBA.
Okay, so I see it now. So yeah, so he was really about 6'10", 6'11", we'll say.
As with most of these guys, his 215-pound listed weight is
Skinny.
also selling him short. At his heaviest, without lifting weights, Russell weighed as much as 240 pounds, the same weight that a young Dwight Howard tipped the scales in the 2004 NBA draft.
West all alone. Look at Russell come down. And what a play by Russell.
Pass to Ellis, back to West. He bottled up out to Baylor, driving the lane. He lays it up, is blocked by Russell.
Blocked by Russell. What a play by Bill Russell.
To me, Bill Russell is the most dominating individual that's ever played the game of basketball. He does everything that's necessary for a fine basketball player.
It's just tremendous. One of the greatest defensive players that's ever played the game. The greatest champion of all time in basketball. I mean, look at what he got, 10 or 11 rings. I mean, got more rings than he's got fingers. He was one of the most intense players, a tremendous intimidator. He would, many times, he'd have you so intimidated that he would stamp his foot, which sounded like he had left the floor. He never left the floor. And you'd make a fool out of yourself, letting the ball go, expecting to get the ball blocked. So you shot a little bit harder than normal, and he never left the ground, and it ricocheted off the glass harmlessly. So he had that kind of impact on players.
Russell just about invented what you could call defensive attack. He has all the tools: quick hand, fine balance, great spring and timing.
Hey, but shout out to them Boston Celtics teams. Them Celtics teams were good. John Havlicek, Bob Cousy, Casey, and Sam Jones, Tom Sanders, and them. Shout out to them, man. Tom Henshine, the Boston commentator, Tom Henshine. Look at point guard Bill. Look at point guard Bill going crazy with the left hand.
He shoots, he defends, he rebounds, and gets the ball out. And beyond all that, he's a tremendous team ball player.
Bill Russell is the most dominating defensive player in NBA history. But don't mistake that for a weakness on the offensive end. He wasn't a volume scorer, but he knew how to run plays and pass and had a good variety of ambidextrous moves and finishes around the basket, along with a quick first step and great timing that you had to respect.
Okay, right hand. You go crazy, Bill. Bill.
Only 42 seconds left to go in this ball game. This crowd is starting to go berserk. Havlicek comes to the right. On the left, it goes over to Russell. There are 35 seconds left. Russell fakes. Russell's driving to the hoop, and he stops it.
30 seconds left in the Celtics are in the verge of their 9th World Championship.
94 to 80. And Russell shoved it through.
You know, people keep telling me, oh, yeah, who's the greatest center? And they keep throwing out these names, and they're saying Russell. And, Bill Russell is the greatest center in the history of the game for helping a team achieve championships. But from the standpoint of picking a player with the skills required to play the center position on both ends of the court, there isn't anyone that comes close to what Wilt Chamberlain accomplished. Great, amazing athlete. I don't know if people realize he...
Wilt was 36 in that clip, doing that.
I think he ran a 48-second 440. He high jumped well over 7 feet.
Facts.
That was incredible.
In those days, they didn't keep blocked shots. I kept them through all games that Wilt played. Russell blocked shots, but not as many as Wilt.
It was unbelievable. The guy was amazing. He was absolutely, truly amazing.
Wilt would not only block your shot, Wilt could go up in the air and catch your shot.
Wilt could do whatever he wanted to on the basket.
No goaltending.
Strong.
No goaltending.
Palmed a bowling ball, a 16-pound bowling ball.
Look at that.
And put his fingers in the sockets and the holes, palmed it like that, held it out.
Wilt Chamberlain is measured to be the exact same height and within a fraction of an inch of the arm span of Rudy Gobert, the absolute longest player and third tallest in the 2017 NBA season. Wilt.
Hey, y'all let me know in the comment section between Wilt and Rudy Gobert, who's reaching 5 points first? I got my money on Wilt.
Outweighed Gobert by a
If they played 1-on-1,
pounds
who's reaching
or
5
more
points
in muscle, and
first?
tipped the scales at 290 to 310 pounds for the majority of his career, weighing as much as 320 pounds by only his 5th NBA season, which would outweigh any player in the 2017 NBA season. As far as all-time greats go,
And I have to admit, I'm sorry I keep pausing, but what Wilt did, averaging 50 plus points that 1 year, averaging like 25 plus rebounds in 1 year. He averaged 50 points plus points and 25 plus rebounds. He averaged about 50 points and averaged about 25 rebounds in 1 year. That's ridiculous. That's still ridiculous.
only Shaq has ever been heavier.
I don't
Combine
care.
this with
I don't care who that is going against. That's still incredible. The average.
Wilt's world-class track and field
That's some
athleticism
2K crap.
and not only leaping and
That's some
running
2K
events,
shit.
a trait he shared with Bill Russell, but additionally field events
Oh, yeah,
that
point guard
required
Wilt.
strength, such as throwing the shot, which he held a state record for in Pennsylvania before his 17th birthday.
All-around
There
athlete,
are no
all-around
shortage of
athlete.
incredible accomplishments and stories that testify that Wilt Chamberlain is probably the strongest player to ever step on an NBA court.
Shit,
So
probably.
it should be easy to understand why he dominated against centers that are in fact every bit the size of modern NBA centers. Wilt could run as fast as anyone, and though he sometimes broke out in transition, he preferred to post up in half-court sets to take advantage of his immense size and strength in the post with fall-away jump shots, finger rolls, and dunks. He was so strong the league learned wrestling him for position after he received the ball was already too late and would quickly put you at risk of fouling out, such as with
Facts.
Darrell Imhoff and Wilt's NBA record 100-point game.
Well, for me, what comes to mind is just how physically dominating Wilt was. I mean, his size and strength and athletic ability, he had a great variety of really incredible strong points to his athletic skills. If people don't realize that.
Wilt's fadeaway game was pretty smooth, though. Wilt's fadeaway game was pretty smooth, it seemed like.
In the shot put and the high jump and the quarter mile, in addition to playing on the basketball team. You know, he was really a superlative athlete.
And he was the greatest athlete I think that's ever lived. The strongest man that's ever played this game.
Strongest basketball player that ever lived.
They always said he was by far the strongest person who's ever played the NBA.
Absolutely. I mean, he lifted me up like with one arm like nothing. He was so powerful. He came to the gym and he would do a tricep extension that the big guys, the strongest guys, would do, let's say, 120 pounds. He would come and he would do 150, 170 pounds. That's how strong he was.
You know, Wilt was so coordinated, and he was a powerful man. You never wanted to make him mad, but he was a wonderful physical
don't get in a fight with
specimen. He
Wilt.
was
No
tall
cap.
and,
Don't get in a fight with Wilt.
Powerful and run and jump and very agile. He was an incredible player.
Back to Ludwig. Into Chamberlain.
And one.
You can't compare to what they're doing now. It's just the evolution of man, the evolution of sports. There were 12 pro teams in the NBA by the time Bill Russell retired. At one point, there were 8 teams.
True.
That's correct.
True.
As few as 8 teams. And if anyone watching this video has assumed fewer teams is a good reason not to appreciate players from that era, consider this for a moment. Those 6 Hall of Fame centers I just showed you all battled against each other on different teams during the 1965
Hall of Fame centers going against each other every night. Come on, man. Come on, man.
NBA season. A season with only 9 teams. That meant nearly 70% of the league centers ended up a Hall of Famer. The other 3 teams weren't far behind in talent, with the Royals fielding a 277 to 285 pound monster named Wayne Embry.
That was Wayne Embry. Not many people get in his way.
The Royals have
No, I ain't getting his way.
players. For instance, we'll call him the human redwood tree. Wayne Embry there, number 15. He's agile and he's a good scorer.
A 4-time NBA All-Star who, despite being the shortest center in the league at that time, had nearly the biggest hands in NBA history.
6'6".
That measured 12 inches across. And according to Oscar Robertson,
hook shot.
Embry had a reach as long as Bill Russell's. The Detroit Pistons had a Tyson Chandler-sized 7-footer named Reggie Harding. And finally, the Los Angeles Lakers fielded a rotation of 3 6'10" centers, and Darrell Imhoff, a future All-Star, Gene Wiley, and Leroy Ellis. Those guys, plus the 6 players I highlighted throughout this video, were getting the lion's share of minutes of any NBA center in the 1965 NBA season.
Wow.
At no point in NBA history has there ever been a greater density of center talent.
That's true.
Not the 1980s, not the 1990s, the mid-1960s through to the early 1970s had the greatest density of Hall of Famers playing center position in NBA history. That concludes my video of top 6 centers from the 1960s. Please hit.
He said not the 70s, not the 80s. Yeah, y'all don't forget to like and sub, and comment down below. Y'all start sending reactions to this. I'll see you guys later.